One of my first thoughts when I was watching the film was, why on earth haven't I heard this story before? And I just wondered what your initial reaction was to John Ridley's screenplay.
Well, one of the reactions was exactly that. I concluded actually that Steve Steve McQueen and John Ridley must have made very seismic changes to the biography, because I thought that if they hadn't, I would have heard of this story. I thought it was such an extraordinary story, such an amazing story, so kind of unique in its own way, and so powerful and rich, and this first-hand account of these events is from so deep within the slave experience was just it seemed incredible that I didn't know it, and so I was very surprised to then read the book and realize that they hadn't made this seismic change, and it was very much, it was truncated, but it was very much, and kind of absolutely the story of Solomon Northup. So it was a kind of amazing thing to discover that, really. There's a great humility to the way that it's written, which is actually very instructive about him somehow. You sort of really get a sense of who he is, and that kind of quietness and the kind of quiet strength that he has.
And what else helped you in your research? I know he did lecture tours and even put on the story theatrically, didn't he? But what sort of material really helped you as you were preparing to play him?
Well, there was a sort of, in a way, there was obviously just the detail in the book was very significant, but there was also something just about the wider history of it that I found very interesting, and it was something that sort of tied into the book in a way, and just the sort of the industry of it, the industry of timber, the industry of sugarcane, the industry of cotton. Was just to understand where in the world he was, and the sort of the actual sort of geopolitical, financial reality and circumstance of slavery, of the slave trade, and the relationships thereby between Africa and Europe and America, North America and South America. It was just a very fascinating kind of way of getting a kind of overview of the trade and an understanding of it. And then I suppose the pressures that even, because I'd never heard of kidnapping, for example, but then obviously with the abolition of the trade, but not the abolition of slavery, it created this kind of gap in and that's what the kidnappers are sort of focused in on, that because you couldn't get any more slaves from Africa, you'd have to find more and more inventive and kind of despicable ways of getting slaves down to the south. So there was something there, and then it was just a question of sort of narrowing in. The book was incredibly helpful, and then just really, even just learning the violin was just a way of of really kind of connecting to him.
And how much of an admirer of Steve McQueen's previous work had you been? How would you describe the experience of working with him on? It was quite an intense experience, I imagine, working on this film.
Yeah, I was a huge fan of his work. I mean, I thought Hunger was amazing. Amazing film, and so unique, and just a completely distinct kind of voice in cinema that I just thought was unlike anything I'd seen before. And Shame I thought was brilliant, and so I was very excited. I spoke to him after Hunger, not long after Hunger, and so I'd gone up to Amsterdam where he lives, and we talked and had coffee and walked along the canals, and it was we talked about life and films and wanted to work together on something. So this was an amazing sort of coming together of that journey, after a few years, and the experience of working with him was absolutely remarkable. It was an intense experience, but that's exactly what it kind of needed to be. In a way, that was the only way to tell Solomon's story, is to sort of to go down the rabbit hole.
You've already received awards and recognition for this film. I just wondered how gratifying that is personally and professionally, particularly on this project.
Well, it's been terrific. I mean, the reaction to this film has been, extraordinary. Ever since we kind of opened in Telluride in Toronto, it's been an incredible kind of journey with it, and to be able to talk to people in depth about it, and also people teach you about the film by the way that they respond to it and the conversations that they want to have about it, and that's been incredible as well. And so the whole process has been this really gratifying journey, and any of the additions to that in terms of awards and everything is just it's a kind of part of the same thing. I mean, it's already been this kind of amazingly gratifying journey.
Chiwetel Ejiofor, thanks very much.
Pleasure.